Welcome to Facts for Sleep, where the universe whispers softly and science sounds like a lullaby. Tonight we're diving into something you touch every day but never really see: water. It's everywhere, in your coffee, your veins, your tears, and even in the air you're breathing right now. It's older than your species, wiser than your civilization, and moodier than your Wi-Fi connection. Scientists call it H2O, two hydrogens and one oxygen. But that's like calling the Mona Lisa some paint on wood. Water is not just a chemical. It's the planet's pulse. It flows through mountains, carves canyons, fuels storms, and quietly keeps every living thing from turning into dust. It has no shape, but it shapes everything. It has no memory, but it remembers everyone. It has no voice, but it speaks in rain, in rivers, and in the sound of your heartbeat. So lie back, relax, and let this story flow through you. By the end of this video, you'll see that water isn't just something you drink. It's something that dreams through you. This is 50 Facts About Water, a journey through the softest power in the universe. Chapter 1. The Origin of Water if Earth Were a Person. Its early years would be what scientists politely call a nightmare. We're talking about a molten ball of chaos spinning in space, constantly bombarded by rocks the size of cities and hot enough to melt your feelings. There was no ocean, no rain, not even humidity, just fire, lava, and the faint smell of sulfur and bad decisions. Then, in one of the universe's greatest plot twists, ice showed up. Yes, the water you drink today most likely came from outer space, delivered by comets and asteroids that smacked into Earth like cosmic water balloons. Billions of years ago, the solar system was a violent place, icy bodies whizzing around like toddlers on too much sugar. Every time one hit the young Earth, it didn't just make a crater, it made a puddle. Scientists call this era the Late Heavy Bombardment, which sounds like a bad rock band, but was actually nature's way of saying, let's see if you can survive this. And somehow Earth did. The steam from those impacts thickened the air, cooled the surface, and began the first condensation. It rained for centuries. Imagine that, endless storms, no breaks, no umbrellas, no small talk about how humid it is today. Just constant planet-wide downpour. Eventually, the water pooled into low spots, forming the first oceans, and suddenly, the angry red planet turned blue. Now, water covers 71% of Earth's surface, an impressive real estate takeover by a liquid that still can't decide if it wants to be solid, vapor, or just vibing in between. And here's the kicker: every single molecule of water on this planet is ancient. The glass you drink from tonight might contain atoms that once flowed through the gills of a trilobite, steamed off a dinosaur's swamp, or got trapped inside a medieval knight's sweaty armor. Congratulations! You are, at this very moment, sipping recycled history. The chemistry of it all is elegant. Water, H2O, sounds simple, but it's the universe's version of an overachiever. Those two hydrogens and one oxygen form an angle of 104.5 degrees, which gives the molecule polarity, a polite scientific way of saying it's clingy. Water sticks to everything: glass, leaves, you, other water. If it could, it would probably start a group chat about it. That stickiness, called hydrogen bonding, is why water forms droplets, how it climbs up trees, and why it can dissolve more substances than any other liquid. In the world of chemistry, water is basically the friend who knows everyone's secrets. But perhaps the most magical part of water's origin is how it turned chaos into calm. When the fiery planet cooled, water absorbed heat, softened continents, and created an atmosphere where life could even think about existing. It smoothed mountains, filled craters, and built rivers, not out of brute force, but patience. You see, water isn't loud. It doesn't need to explode to be powerful. It erodes quietly. It waits. It'll take 1,000 years to carve a canyon, but it will get there. If fire is passion, then water is persistence. And that's why we're still here. So next time someone says, you need to drink more water, remember, they're not just telling you to hydrate. They're reminding you to ingest a piece of the universe, comet dust that survived explosions, fell through fire, and decided to become your bloodstream. Water didn't just arrive on Earth, it made Earth habitable. Without it, this planet would still be a glowing marble of regret spinning around the sun. And you're 60% water. Which means, in the most literal way possible, you are mostly ancient space juice. Drink responsibly. Chapter 2. The Shape of Water. If water had a personality, it would be the chillest thing in the universe. It never argues, never complains, and just goes with the flow, literally. Put it in a glass, it becomes a glass. Pour it into a vase, it becomes a vase. Spill it on your laptop, and it becomes your greatest regret. Water's most famous trick is that it has no shape, and yet it becomes the shape of everything. It's the world's greatest imitator. It doesn't fight, it adapts. You could say it's the original minimalist, simple, clear, functional, but with a flair for drama when the weather changes. Let's talk science. A molecule of water looks innocent enough. Two tiny hydrogens clinging to a slightly grumpy oxygen, forming a perfect 104.5-degree angle. That angle is everything. Because of it, the molecule is polar, meaning one end is slightly positive and the other slightly negative. In other words, water has commitment issues. It can't decide which side it likes more, so it just flirts with everything around it. This polarity gives water its superpowers. It sticks to things, it clings to itself, and it dissolves practically anything it meets. That's why scientists call it the universal solvent, a fancy way of saying it's nosy. Salt? Dissolved. Sugar? Gone. Rocks? Give it time. Water doesn't break things immediately. It just erodes their confidence slowly. But perhaps its most bizarre feature is that when it freezes, it expands. Every other liquid on the planet gets smaller when it solidifies. Not water. No, water is that one drama queen at the party who says, "I need space," and then takes up more room in the freezer. Because of this quirk, ice floats, which is why fish are still alive and not popsicles. Without that one rebellious behavior, Earth's lakes and oceans would have frozen solid from the bottom up long ago. So yes, the only reason you have life is because water decided to be weird. Now, water isn't just obedient and odd, it's also emotional. You've probably seen people talking about the memory of water, claiming that water can store emotions, thoughts, or vibrations. While that's scientifically dubious and a little too poetic for physics, there is something beautiful in the idea that water remembers what it touches. In a way, that's not entirely wrong. Every drop of water carries minerals, salts, and molecules from where it's been. It literally carries the fingerprints of mountains, oceans, and clouds. So yes, it remembers, just not in the mystical "I love you" crystal energy way. More like a scrapbook full of mud and data. And it's a bit vain too. Surface tension, that invisible film on top of water, is basically nature's way of saying, "I moisturize." It holds droplets together, lets insects walk on ponds, and gives you those perfect spherical raindrops you take photos of. That's water showing off. It's like, "Look at me. I'm elegant, I'm reflective, and I hold your entire reflection together." Water even has the audacity to break physics every once in a while. It can exist as solid, liquid, and vapor at the same time, a condition called the triple point. You'd think that'd be rare, but no. Water just casually does it whenever it feels like. If matter were a talent show, water would be the contestant that wins every category. Singing, dancing, phase transitioning. And despite being everywhere, in your blood, your breath, your bathtub, it still manages to feel mysterious. Humans spend billions exploring Mars looking for a drop of water, while spilling oceans of it here every day because someone forgot to turn off the tap. But here's the quiet genius of water. It never resists. It doesn't break rocks. It moves around them. It doesn't attack mountains. It waits, wears them down, and one day wins. It's the universe's masterclass in patience, and a not-so-subtle metaphor for surviving life. So, the next time you watch rain slide down a window, think about this. That same water once danced in the atmosphere, fell as snow in the Himalayas, carved a river through a canyon, and now it's politely ruining your afternoon plans. That's what we call commitment through change. Water takes shape, and in doing so teaches us that flexibility is not weakness, it's power, disguised as calm. And if you still don't find that fascinating, maybe you're just too solid. Chapter 3. The memory of water. If water could talk, it would probably start by saying, "I've seen things you people wouldn't believe." And it wouldn't be lying. Every molecule of water on Earth has been everywhere. It's ancient, recycled, and cosmically well-traveled. The water in your coffee this morning may have once fallen as rain on a dinosaur's face, steamed off a medieval battlefield, or swirled in Cleopatra's bathtub. You are quite literally drinking secondhand history. Now, somewhere in the late 20th century, a few ambitious researchers suggested that water might have memory, that it can somehow remember the substances once dissolved in it, even after they're gone. It's the kind of idea that sounds poetic enough to trend on TikTok, but unhinged enough to make scientists twitch. They ran experiments, dropped molecules, diluted them beyond reason, and claimed the water still remembered. Of course, the scientific community responded as you'd expect, with a collective sigh so deep it caused humidity. Still, the concept caught people's imagination. Because the idea of water remembering us is both terrifying and comforting. Think about it. Every time you shower, you're basically confessing your life story to the most discreet therapist in existence. And unlike your actual therapist, water doesn't take notes. But here's the beautiful irony. While mystical water memory might not pass peer review, the scientific kind absolutely does exist. Water really does record its journey, just not in energy frequencies and good vibes. It remembers through chemistry. Every stream, every droplet carries with it a history of where it's been. Trace elements of minerals, salts, metals, even pollution, all are clues. If you scoop water from a mountain spring, it contains the mountain's signature. If you scoop it from a city drain, well, let's just say it remembers that too, vividly. In other words, every molecule of water is like a tiny historian. It doesn't have opinions, but it has receipts. Scientists can tell where it's been, how long it's traveled, what it touched, and who spilled what into it, just by analyzing its isotopes. So yes, water keeps score. Politely, but permanently. Here's a fact that's both mind-blowing and slightly uncomfortable. The same water that flows in your veins might someday rise as vapor into the sky, condense into clouds, fall as rain, trickle through the ground, join a river, and eventually end up in someone else's cup of tea. We're all drinking from the same infinite loop. So if you've ever wondered why humanity feels connected, it might just be because we're all sharing the same cosmic beverage. And it's not just physical memory, it's emotional too, in a way. Water has a knack for reflecting mood. A still lake feels peaceful. A crashing ocean feels angry. A dripping faucet at 3 a.m., existential. It mirrors us better than any glass. You can stare into it and see yourself, calm, chaotic, or somewhere in between. Poets have always known what physicists take years to prove. Water is alive in its own quiet way. It doesn't just move. It remembers motion. It shapes valleys and coasts as if signing its name across the planet. It holds stories not in words, but in waves. Every raindrop that lands on your hand is the product of billions of years of circulation. A particle that's lived countless lives. Now pausing for a brief moment on your skin before moving on. It doesn't belong to you. It never did. It's just passing through as it always has, and as you will too. So when people say you should respect water, they're not just being poetic. They're being historically accurate. You're standing in the presence of an immortal traveler who's been around since before continents had names. And if water really does remember everything, I just hope it forgets how many times I've screamed while showering with cold water. Chapter 4. The power of water. Water looks harmless. It's transparent, tasteless, and makes that relaxing shh sound when it rains. The universal white noise of peace. But don't be fooled. Water is nature's quiet assassin. It doesn't roar like fire or crumble like earth. It simply waits. And when it moves, slowly, patiently, relentlessly, it can reshape continents. If you've ever stood next to a waterfall, you know the feeling. The ground vibrates, your chest rattles, and you suddenly realize that the thing you drink casually every morning could yeet you into the next life in 2 seconds flat. Water carved the Grand Canyon, not in a day, not even in 1,000 years, but through sheer persistence. It doesn't punch, it presses. It doesn't break, it wears down. It's the universe's masterclass in passive-aggressive domination. Geologists call this the hydrological cycle. But that's just a polite phrase for water's endless world tour of destruction and renewal. It evaporates, drifts, condenses, and comes crashing down again. Never tired, never late, never losing patience. Meanwhile, humanity can't even finish a group project without arguing about fonts. Then there's the energy part. Because apparently, being beautiful wasn't enough for water. When it falls, it creates hydropower, one of the cleanest sources of energy we've ever harnessed. Every time you flip on a light switch somewhere, A waterfall might be working overtime for you. Niagara Falls alone produces more electricity than entire countries. So the next time someone calls you too emotional, just remember, crying rivers could literally power a city. And don't even get me started on steam. Water heated up becomes vapor, and vapor was the driving force behind the entire Industrial Revolution. The steam engine turned droplets into locomotives, factories, and empire. Humanity basically boiled its way into modernity. It's kind of poetic that civilization's progress came from a substance that could also drown us. Now, water also has a flair for the dramatic. Under pressure, it can cut steel. That's not a metaphor, that's a fact. Water jet cutting machines shoot narrow streams at over 50,000 psi, slicing through metal like butter. Somehow, the same liquid that waters your houseplants can also perform precision surgery on titanium. If that's not versatility, I don't know what is. And when it's angry, oh boy. Ask anyone who's lived through a flood, a tsunami, or even just a burst pipe. Water doesn't knock on your door. It becomes your door, your wall, and your furniture. It can move entire buildings, sink ships, or turn a city into a fish tank overnight. And after the chaos, it just recedes calmly, like nothing happened, leaving humans to mop up and pretend they still run the planet. It's poetic justice, really. We bottle it, brand it, pollute it, and then act shocked when it comes back for vengeance every hurricane season. It's like slapping Poseidon and wondering why you're wet. But power isn't just in destruction, it's in creation. Every organism on Earth owes its existence to water. It dissolves nutrients, delivers oxygen, and lubricates life itself. Your blood, your tears, your sweat, all different costumes for the same actor. Even your thoughts depend on it. The brain is roughly 75% water. So technically, every genius idea in history was, in part, a ripple. Water can also defy physics when it feels like showing off. In space, for example, it clings to itself, forming perfect floating spheres. Zero-gravity bubbles of pure geometry. Meanwhile, on Earth, it plays tricks with light. Refraction bends images through rainbows and puddles, turning physics into art. Rainbows, by the way, are just sunlight getting embarrassed in front of water. It's funny, isn't it? We spend millions trying to find water on other planets, because deep down, we know that wherever water exists, life might follow. It's not just a liquid. It's the signature of existence. When astronomers find even a hint of it, they don't say, "Oh, neat." They scream, because water means potential. It means home. So yes, it's calm, patient, adaptable, but also unstoppable. You can dam it, freeze it, boil it, bottle it, name it smart water, and charge $4 a bottle, but you'll never truly control it. Given enough time, it will go wherever it wants to go. Water doesn't need to prove its power. It built this world molecule by molecule, and one day it could take it back. So drink it with respect. Because that glass in your hand, it's the most powerful thing you'll ever swallow. Chapter 5. The Spirit of Water. If water had a soul, it would be an old monk, patient, wise, and mildly disappointed in humanity. It doesn't speak, yet somehow it understands everything. It listens when you cry, it cleans when you're filthy, it feeds when you're thirsty, and still, you pour detergent in it like you're seasoning soup. Humans love to think they control water. Dams, canals, smart faucets, but let's be honest, that's adorable. We can't even control our Wi-Fi, yet here we are, thinking we've tamed the ocean. Water has been around for 4.5 billion years. It watched continents form, dinosaurs drown, civilizations rise and flush themselves away. Literally, it's been inside volcanoes, comets, whales, and you. It's seen gods worshipped, kings crowned, empires drowned, and now it sits quietly in your reusable plastic bottle, pretending it's impressed by your eco-consciousness. Here's the spiritual paradox of water. It's the softest thing in the world, and yet nothing can resist it. You can punch a rock. It stays. You punch water. It laughs and reforms behind your hand. Try to cage it and it evaporates. Try to burn it, and it extinguishes you instead. It is the ultimate enlightened being, untouchable, flexible, undefeatable. Lao Tzu said it best. Nothing is softer than water, yet nothing can resist it. And if Lao Tzu were alive today, water would probably whisper, "Yeah, tell that to your climate policy." Because let's face it, we've been terrible guests in water's house. We dump plastic in its living room, oil in its kitchen, and then complain about the weather like it's water's fault. Every storm, every flood, every drought is just water trying to send an email we keep marking as spam. But despite our nonsense, water forgives. It still falls as rain, still fills our rivers, still lets us surf on its skin like fools. It flows through everything, even us. 60% of your body is water, which means 60% of you is literally the same liquid you shout at when it leaks from the ceiling. If water had emotions, it would probably alternate between compassion and sarcasm. When you drink it, it nurtures you. When you waste it, it sighs and returns to the clouds. When you curse at the rain, it just shrugs. Buddy, I was here before roofs. Maybe that's what makes water divine. It doesn't punish. It teaches through cycles: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, forgiveness, repeat. It's the planet's way of saying, you messed up, but it's okay. We'll try again tomorrow. And somewhere in that infinite loop, we see ourselves. We too are born from chaos, shaped by pressure, purified through storms. We evaporate from places we've outgrown, fall somewhere new, dissolve, and rise again. We are, in essence, emotional weather. That's why staring at the ocean makes you quiet. Because in that vast blue mirror, you're not just looking at water, you're looking at memory, patience, and humility made visible. It doesn't care about your deadlines or your drama. It just breathes in tides. And maybe that's the lesson water has been trying to whisper all along. You don't have to fight everything. You can flow. You can be soft and strong. You can be clear and deep. You can reflect and destroy, depending on who's looking. So tonight, before you sleep, drink a glass of water. Not because it's healthy, but because it's ancient. Because that sip connects you to oceans, glaciers, comets, clouds, and all the lives that ever were. You are not separate from the world. You are part of its tide. And when you put the glass down, remember this simple truth. Water never dies. It just changes form. It doesn't end. It continues, just like you will. And that's the story of water, patient, powerful, ancient, and absurdly forgiving. It arrived on this planet as frozen stardust, learned to dance as rain, carved mountains into memory, and decided to live inside you for a while. It doesn't care about your boundaries, your buildings, or your plumbing. It just keeps flowing. Because that's what life does. We build dams, bottles, and straws trying to contain it. But water doesn't belong to us, it's just visiting. And every droplet you spill, every wave you ignore, every storm you fear, is the same water that once gave birth to life itself. So tonight, before you close your eyes, take a slow breath. The air you exhale will become moisture. The moisture will rise, cool, condense, and fall again somewhere far away. You're not separate from the water cycle. You are the water cycle. And when this video fades, remember, the universe doesn't speak in words. It speaks in elements: fire, air, water, earth. And right now, it's whispering through you. Thank you for watching Facts for Sleep, where knowledge drifts like dreams. Next time, we'll ignite the opposite element, the secrets of fire, where heat creates life and destruction becomes rebirth. Until then, stay fluid, stay curious, and may your thoughts flow as softly as water.